Chapter 11. Natural Disasters. Let's know. Natural disasters: earthquake, cyclone, floods, drought, volcanic eruptions, landslides, etc. Effects and precautions to be taken during natural disasters. Father, what is an NGO? An NGO is a non-government organization. It volunteers to help the victims during a calamity. What help do they provide? They provide help in the form of money, food, clothes, rebuilding house, or arranging medical facilities. Where do they get money for all this? They are supported by big private organizations and companies. They also receive funds from philanthropists. Natural disaster. A natural disaster is an adverse event of nature that causes immense damage to life, people, and property. Earthquakes, cyclones, floods, droughts, volcanic eruptions, landslides are examples of natural disasters. Let us study about some of them. Kinds of natural disasters. Earthquakes. Earthquakes happen when some movement takes place deep under the surface of the earth. It shakes the earth. Sometimes it is not very strong. It passes unnoticed. Sometimes it is so strong that we can feel the earth shaking. During powerful earthquakes, the surface of the earth splits, roads cave in, railway tracks are deformed, trees fall, buildings and bridges collapse. Collapsing buildings can kill a large number of people. Houses develop cracks and become unsafe to live in. Crops are damaged. Sometimes major fire breaks out due to damage caused to gas pipelines and electric wires. If the barriers of a dam or river are damaged, it causes floods. Powerful earthquakes result in massive loss of life and property. There is shortage of food and shelter. People are forced to live in refugee camps till the damaged houses are constructed again. Spread of diseases often happens after an earthquake. Some parts of the world like Japan, Afghanistan, etc. experience frequent earthquakes. In India, the Himalayan region experiences maximum earthquakes. A strong earthquake struck Bhuj in Gujarat on January 26, 2001. It measured 7.7 on Richter scale. It killed over 20,000 people. People lost their loved ones and belongings. An instrument called seismograph is used to measure how strong or weak an earthquake is. The study of earthquakes is called seismography. The force or intensity of an earthquake is measured on a scale of 1 to 10 on a Richter scale. The earthquake is weak if its intensity is lower than 3. Such an earthquake does not cause damage. Serious damage is caused when the reading on the Richter scale shows an intensity above 7. We cannot control earthquakes, but we can take measures to prevent large-scale damage. The buildings and bridges should be constructed carefully and should be earthquake-proof so that they do not collapse during an earthquake. They sway and get back to their original position. Such buildings are common in Japan. Factopedia. The world's worst earthquake took place in Japan in 2011 when the intensity was 9 on the Richter scale. Precautions of earthquakes. When an earthquake takes place, do not panic. If in a building, move out of it. Do not use a lift. Instead, use the stairs. If unable to move out, take shelter under a table. It will protect you from objects falling around. Move away from glass windows or mirrors. To drop, cover head and hold on the objects under which shelter is taken is the best protection during an earthquake. Do not enter the building immediately after the earthquake stops. There are chances of damaged portions falling off. A recurrence of the earthquake can be more dangerous. One should be careful during the aftershocks too. An aftershock is a mild earthquake that can occur at the same place after a few moments of the main earthquake. Cyclone. A cyclone is a very strong wind accompanied by heavy lashes of rain, lightning and thunder. The cyclonic wind mostly blows above the speed of 150 km per hour. It moves in circles in areas near the sea and causes very high waves called tides. Tidal waves flood the coastal areas. The wind usually blows for some hours, but sometimes they may continue for 2 or 3 days too. Cyclones cause miseries and huge loss. The states near coastal area are hit by cyclones and floods. In India, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Maharashtra and Gujarat are the worst hit areas. Air Force helicopters are often used to airlift people from cyclone-hit areas. Many NGOs, non-government organizations, and the Red Cross Society also help to resettle the displaced people. Precautions of cyclone. The Weather or Meteorological Department has instruments to study the condition of air on sea and predict cyclones. They can also roughly find out the speed of wind during the cyclone. They issue warnings to people beforehand to evacuate the affected area. People should pay attention to these weather forecasts and warnings. It can save their lives, property and cattle. Along with food and water supply, they can also prepare an emergency kit of medicines to guard against diseases that might spread in the wake of the cyclone. It is good to carry the valuables with you while moving out of the area. Planting more trees near coastal areas can break the speed of wind and lower the incidence of loss. Floods. When it rains in excess, the water level of the rivers rises above the banks and overflows the surrounding land. This is called flood. Floods are not caused by rains alone. When the snow on the mountains melts in excess, the water overflows into rivers. It increases the volume of water in the river. Sometimes, increased water overflows river banks and causes floods on plains. In India, floods are common during the monsoon months due to heavy rains and melting snow on mountains. Floods not only destroy crops but also destroy houses, roads, railway tracks, buildings, and everything that comes in the course of the forcefully flowing water. It washes away cattle, temporary shelters, and belongings of the people. People do not get a chance to even save themselves. There is a breakdown of electricity and communication system. Railway and transport systems shut down completely. There is no drinking water, food, or proper shelter. Water starts stinking due to dead bodies of animals and humans. It pollutes water. Mosquitoes begin to breed in polluted water. It increases the chances of an epidemic. It can spread diseases like malaria, typhoid, hepatitis, cholera, and dengue. Floods cause large-scale damage, but they also have an advantage. Flood water carries new and fertile soil from hills. It deposits sediments of this soil on the land. It makes the soil more fertile. The government adopts various ways to provide relief to the suffering people. With the help of the local police, army and air force, food, clothes, drinking water and medicines are distributed in the flood-hit region. Precautions of floods. Floods cannot be stopped, but the loss caused due to them can be minimized. Government warns people about the oncoming floods through newspaper, radio and television and advises them to move out to a safer place with sufficient food stock, water and necessary medicines. Paying attention to these warnings can save many lives. Trees break the flow of water currents. Planting more trees can control and slow down the speed of water. Thus, afforestation is also a useful way to prevent floods. Raising the embankment can also prevent water from overflowing on the nearby land and causing damage to life and property. Drought. Drought happens due to insufficient rainfall. The rivers do not get sufficient volume of water and the level of underground water also falls. The soil constantly loses moisture through evaporation. Ponds and lakes also dry up. All these factors cause an acute shortage of water in the region. This condition is called a drought. Crops cannot grow in the absence of water. It further creates a shortage of food grains. There is shortage of food, which is called famine. People die of hunger in large numbers. Droughts and famines create conditions that often lead to widespread epidemics. In India, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, and Odisha are most affected by droughts. Precautions of drought. Farmers can adopt methods like canal or tank irrigation to irrigate the fields. Rainwater harvesting can also provide enough water to maintain the moisture of soil and grow crops. Planting more and more trees bring heavy rainfall. Hence, planting trees and preventing deforestation can help reduce the risk of drought. Water stored in the reservoir of dams can be used for irrigation. Factopedia. Tsunamis are huge and destructive waves caused due to earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or landslides taking place in the ocean. Volcanic eruptions. Volcanoes are the cracks or holes in the Earth's crust through which magma flows out. The magma comes from the mantle of the Earth and reaches the crust through these cracks. Volcanoes are found in the form of conical mountains. Magma is pushed out due to the huge pressure built up underground. It rushes upwards through a vertical tunnel called vent and bursts out of the opening at the top called crater. It brings along hot gases, dust, and ashes. When the magma reaches the Earth's surface, it is called lava. Lava solidifies and forms rocks. Volcanoes are of three types. Active volcanoes. These volcanoes may erupt anytime or have erupted in the recent past. The barren island in the Andaman Islands is an active volcano. Mount Vesuvius, Mount Fiji, and Mount Erebus are some other famous active volcanoes. Dormant volcanoes. These volcanoes have not erupted for several years but can erupt in future. Narcodarn in Andaman Islands and Mount Kilimanjaro are dormant volcanoes. Extinct volcanoes. These volcanoes are not expected to erupt in future. Emperor Seamount in Pacific Ocean and Zuidwal volcano in Netherlands are extinct volcanoes. Landslides. A landslide occurs when rocks, debris, and soil move down a slope. This happens during or after heavy rainfall. It may also occur after an earthquake. During a landslide, a mass of earth or rock collapses from a mountain or a cliff. It is also known as landslip. Natural causes of landslide are groundwater pressure destabilizes the place, loss of vegetation and deforestation, erosion of toe of slope by rivers, ocean waves, earthquakes, overconstruction on the land. Landslides affect the people, animals, natural resources directly or indirectly. Debris can block roads, lines of telecommunication, electricity, water, etc. Productivity of agricultural and forest land reduces landslides. Landslide and floods are associated with each other. Moving mass of land can bury people and animals under the debris. Landslides can be checked by growing vegetation on the slopes, excavation, removal of materials from the soil, or cutting trees should be avoided. Precautions of landslides. Listen to weather forecast on radio, TV, etc. about heavy rains. Abnormal sounds of soil and rock movement or breaking of trees should be heard attentively and taken seriously. Evacuation must be quick and shelter must be taken under trees or solid objects if rocks are falling. Time to recall. A natural disaster is an adverse event of nature causing damage to life, people and property. Intensity of an earthquake is measured on a Richter scale. Earthquakes are caused by sudden movement under the surface of the earth. A cyclone is a very strong wind accompanied by heavy rain, lightning and thunder. Excessive rains raise the level of rivers, making them overflow and causing floods. Insufficient rainfall causes drought. Volcanoes are cracks in the earth's crust through which magma flows out. Landslides occur when rocks, debris and soil move down a slope. New words: natural disaster, adverse event of nature causing damage. Richter scale, instrument to measure intensity of earthquake. Epidemic, infectious diseases spreading from person to person. Drought, drying up of land and water bodies due to less rainfall. Seismograph, instrument to measure how strong or weak an earthquake is. Famine, acute shortage of food. Cyclone, very strong wind accompanied by heavy rain, lightning and thunder.